Anti-Afro Svengalis, I'm coming on here. I have to again send an internal thank you, repetitive thank you, forever thank you to everyone out there who has shown support for me on this channel and personally. Now, someone had come up with the idea 2 years ago about a contest, and I put down $300. And yes, let's revive a contest. I'm still working on the concept of that contest, and it's going to center around whether or not Umar is going to have the nerve to speak out on the Kwame Brown Charlemagne situation. So I'm still working on that concept. But what I'm coming on here to talk to you about today is how Umar has created yet another syndrome, and it's called the bury yourself syndrome. And what Umar did, he came out with all of these bold statements. He made all these bold declarations and claims and became extremely agitated when people called him on what he said he was going to be doing. Umar thought that was such an intolerable act on the part of many people, as if anti-Afro Svengalis is the only person, me, that was calling Umar Johnson out. And in fact, I didn't even call Umar Johnson out about the school initially. My issue is him perpetrating as a mental health professional. But anyway, Umar started coming for different people. And in the beginning, Umar very clearly had much stronger support in volume. Going back, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, when he really started making a, quote, splash, blow up on YouTube. So whenever someone would bring up Umar Johnson, you're not doing this, you said this, you would see this onslaught of people attacking others because they were simply asking Umar a question. It wasn't until Umar started getting a lot of thumbs down on that King Kong consciousness channel that he started distancing himself from that channel. Whether that is actually Umar's channel, people have different feelings about that. But we do know he has never issued any sort of, as far as I'm aware, because I haven't been told, and I'm sure people would have mentioned it, he has issued no strikes or no privacy violations from that channel that I can remember. Actually, let me correct that. I think I got 2 from that channel, and that was like 2 years ago, and they were not upheld. The only strike I received that was Umar related, listen to this, people, the only strike I received is when I posted that video where he was threatening us. And I got a strike for that, a community guideline strike. So I said, F this. So I simply made sure I recorded the video, both those videos, and I have those. So, hey, the video is still up. If somebody is going to go strike it down, they didn't do it. It's still there. So that's a lesson. I mean, who knows? I mean, how this YouTube thing works. I am not the expert when it comes to how YouTube operates and what they're thinking. So don't look at me as to why that happened. At any rate, Umar became increasingly agitated as a result of people calling him out when more and more proof started to surface as to what was really going on. We're talking about the GoFundMe was taken down. I mean, all of the things that Umar has done, his statements that he's made led to him being canceled at all these hyena yelps. So this is the bury yourself syndrome. And as I stated before, I am not really gung-ho about mentioning names. Sometimes you need to. So if you know I'm mentioning a name, you know the situation is pretty serious. I mean, besides Umar Johnson and anti-fraud warriors and affiliates, sometimes you need to recognize that. One thing everyone knows who has been a supporter, who has been here, whether it's personal supporting me or the channel, you all know that I do not bluff, that I will never come on and claim that I have something that I do not. So let's make a very clear distinction about what I'm talking about specifically. There is a person, and I'm not going to mention the name, What I will do, if you really want to know something so bad, and it's something that I can say that I haven't been told, please don't repeat this, I will tell you. Whether or not I'm going to do it online, not necessarily, because there's really no point to it. So if you want to know who I'm speaking about, send me an email, drop me a DM, and I will let you know. There is a person who had a bunch of live streams that he put up, and you have all these people going there, and there's eventually some big blow up, and this person took down essentially all of those live streams. Well, the person took down the live streams. A person can record a video or live stream and take it down. Nobody can tell you you have to keep a live stream up. Here's the issue why anti-fraud warriors and affiliates don't worry about those kinds of things. Because every single one of those live streams was captured. At first, the person would leave them up, and that was the easier way to capture them, okay? You would just copy it. It wasn't rebroadcast. It was simply, copied the normal way people copy videos. Then the person started putting the video up, editing, and reposting the video. Still, a person has a right to do that. Then the person started basically having the live stream up and then putting it private right away. That's okay, because every single live stream this person ever recorded or put up on YouTube was captured by an anti-fraud warrior or an affiliate. So we aren't the ones scrambling around trying to remember what we said or what we did. We know what we say and we know what we do. Now, it just depends on, I'll take the leap and say your upbringing in part, whether or not you've matured to a certain level and you're disciplined. Even if you were raised in the most horrific of circumstances, you're not doomed to that fate. You're not a lost cause. You can make a decision about whether or not you want to rise above that. And if you do, that means you engage yourself in a manner that is garden variety decent at the very least. So if there are things that concerns were brought up about anti-fraud warriors and affiliates, they start going on the recording juncture. Can I do this? Of course, my computer person is able to do that, but what are the odds I can get him? But he's very accessible, but not like that. Well, here, I need you to stop what you're doing right now and record this 7-hour video. That's not feasible, people. So I wouldn't expect him to be able to do that when there are so many others who basically do that before I get a chance to even say, hey, did somebody capture this? Because I'm getting emails about this or notices about that. Again, thank you for being such a strong support system, because this is not a situation where somebody is spying on somebody. This is a situation where things are being stated. Very serious claims and accusations are being made against me, anti-fraud warriors and affiliates, and threats, that sort of thing. Just the fact that somebody has a freaking live stream, who cares about that? It is the situation where we're dealing with the bury yourself syndromites. This calls for this type of reaction, because before, people could just say whatever they want and delete a video. So there is a practice in place that is very successful that everts that. People can say it all day long and take the video down all day long and deny all day long. That's okay. If it comes down to it, here is the information. These bury yourself syndromites that Umar Johnson created started replicating Umar's behavior in the form of threatening people, in the form of making claims that were contradictory, in the form of coming for people and their families on one live stream and then going to another live stream and claiming to be friends. So there were many reasons why these live streams were captured. And every single live stream of this person's was captured. So there's no concern. If anything ever needed to be addressed in whatever venue, there it is right there. So now you have, I guess, a situation, or not, I guess, now we see out here in the open Umar has been the catalyst for all of this bury yourself syndrome situation going on. There are people out there who have said things I'm positive they are not going to recall what they said 5 and 6 months ago while they thought the world was nice and pretty and this is all fun. How many can recall what you said 5 months ago? If somebody came up with a conversation and they recorded you and it was just a regular conversation, would you even recall you said that? You probably won't. So when someone is actually making claims of having information, such as myself, I don't come on here and make claims for something I don't have. And is it my style to come out and bust up with information and give it all because somebody's talking trash about me or doesn't like me or doesn't agree with me? No, that is ridiculous. You all know there's only certain circumstances when I'm going to mention somebody's name and I'm going to come out with information that needs to be put in the public arena. I don't react to everything that is said about me. There are certain things that I absolutely will not tolerate, and you know what those are. Now, several of you know exactly what I'm talking about and my reasonings for doing things the way I do. It's not exclusively me. I have, believe me, a lot of influence, sometimes more than I care to have, that, believe it or not, is much stronger than my will. In the end, I know it probably is a good idea. Sometimes I'm put in the position of just trust us and don't do this or don't do that or don't post that video. Do you know how hard it is, being the strong-willed person that I am, to actually sit and listen? Most of the time, I'm able to do that. And a few times that I didn't, the situation didn't turn out very well. But that has not been recently because I have absolutely trust in those who support me, who I have no doubt in my mind have my best interest in mind. And the same applies to me when it comes to them. It is very much a treacherous world to live in when you become so reckless that you would have to be concerned about what you have stated on social media. Look at the Christy Teigen, is that her name? Christy, she was making these, people, please. If you don't know about her situation, she had made some comments even to the point where she was telling I think a 17-year-old. I'll put the article on the bottom if you don't know who she is. A 17-year-old or 16-year-old to kill yourself, commit suicide or something. Even if you're joking around, there is no joking around. And tons of other comments that she made that people interpret as pedophile-esque. Check out the article if you want to look into those tweets or Facebook posts, whatever they were. Look into that. Do you think today, the here and now, that Christy Teigen was thinking that those tweets, whatever, or those Facebook posts, Instagram would ever come up back to haunt her? The answer is no, because she left them up. She didn't delete them. There were like something like 50,000 messages. Not all were abusive, okay, but she ended up deleting, after this all came up, something like 50 or 60,000 messages. Are you in a position where you would have to go back and delete all of your tweets or your Facebook posts? I actually went back and deleted a lot of posts on Twitter because the links were no longer good. I still have a lot of comments up there. I'm not going to, find what you find. There is absolutely nothing that I would be worried about that somebody can take action against me. Now, when you have a decent upbringing, when you overcome an upbringing that was not at all positive, you don't worry about those things. And we are excluding things like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have said that. That could be misinterpreted. I apologize. I'm not talking about those types of things. I'm talking about situations and statements that are very clearly falling in the category of threatening, attacking a protected group, that sort of thing. If you are so unsettled when it comes to Who should I be attaching myself to? You are likely to be caught up in the bury yourself syndrome, which a lot of people have found themselves in. They were sitting on these panels, and I kind of touched on this before, sitting on these panels. These consist of many people have sat up on these panels for how long, making statements about people, declaring allegiance with violent acts, making the most discriminatory, abusive declarations towards people they don't even know, and they think this information will never come back to bite them in the ass. Now listen to this. Umar Johnson, since he realized who I was back in, what was it, 2000, it wasn't until like mid 2018 where Umar Johnson started targeting me. Umar thought he struck gold and thought he was going to run me out. He was surprised about how formidable I was. Okay, Umar Johnson, he says he was born in Philadelphia. Well, he was born in Philly. I guess the dad hasn't changed. Okay, right there, I mean, you're not going to even have any of the similar traits that I was brought up with when it comes to a male, quote, dominating someone. And don't be offended, people. We're individuals, but there are regional differences. So right then and there, I wasn't concerned. The way he was talking, it was just bizarre. That is not how you're going to get me to listen to you and acquiesce to you, just to come out barreling with abusive and offensive statements, especially if you're a man. I don't want to call Umar Johnson a man, a chronological adult male. That is going to have one effect. I'm going to get the hell away from you. As in, I'm not going to try to communicate with you. You know how many times people have said, why don't you just go to one of Umar's, hyena yelps and just talk to him? You know how many times people have sent me notices that Umar Johnson wants to talk to you? Are you crazy? I'm not going to do that. I would never look to connect with a man who had presented himself in the way that he has. That's what you are. And it wasn't just one statement. It was a whole smorgasbord of statements and actions and behaviors that I'm seeing. So I'm not drawn to someone like that. Now, the person can't run me off if I'm on a direct mission with a specific issue. I'm not trying to curry favor with Umar Johnson, and I never have. That, however, is not going to dissuade me from focusing on what I set out to do. People are human. My favorite uncle, God rest his soul, had this loud, booming voice, but what he was saying and how he was saying what he said made every bit of difference. He was not abusive. He didn't threaten us. He just had a loud voice. It's the way he is. That's not Umar. And it's not the people who have succumbed to this bury yourself syndrome. Their ramblings, going off, screaming at the top of their lungs, appearing to be nice and sweet and smiling all over the place. And then boom, they come out with the suck my dick and hang up. What? What the hell is, oh my God. Or insert violence into a discussion where violence is not even anything at all that was on the table. And then they come back all nice and sweet. And no, that is not going to be the type of man that I gravitate toward. And it doesn't matter for whatever reason. To trust, to have a conversation with, to collaborate with. And this most certainly extends to anybody that associates with someone like this and considers himself, I'm rocking with this person. Well, rock on. Rock on, have a nice life. It has nothing to do with me. So that is the whole issue, people. I am not part of the bury yourself syndrome, but they try to recruit people to come along. This is where you need to make sure you're doing your research. If you look at Kwame Brown, I have said this many times to you people, I was raised by a Southern father and mother. And my dad was not a yeller or a screamer. Even if his voice went up, he still had control of what he was doing and saying. It was never screaming out of control. So this is what you get used to. So this is what you look toward. This is what you gravitate to. I don't gravitate to behavior and dispositions that are representative of bury yourself syndrome, because people like that don't ever remember what they say because they're out of control a lot of the time. Either they're trying to perpetrate like they have control of themselves, and then you say one thing and then they fly off the handle. And flying off the handle, we have to concede, is sometimes a necessity in some situations because you're handling business, but it's not a matter of habit and routine. I want to backtrack to, I started mentioning Kwame Brown and I meant to continue with what I was saying. It doesn't matter how much people agree or disagree in whatever area of his information or experience or his commentary. The bottom line is a significant number of people are tuning in. He has 33,000 people in his live streams, 15,000, 20,000. And talk about super chat envy. My goodness, go over there and check out his live streams. I maintain the reason why people are tuning in and they're listening is because it's the manner in which he speaks. Even when people are saying things like suck my dick, he's saying this person's inviting me to his whatever. Is he screaming and hollering, going off the handle? No. And apparently the issues that he is addressing are issues that people are interested in hearing. And if he was hollering and screaming all over the place and being extremely vulgar and disgusting, are people going to continue to tune in? I'm sure there would be people tuning in, but he wouldn't be getting 33,000 people in his live stream. Think about it, people. You have a choice to make. And if you make a choice and it's something that you stand by it. Nobody should be able to guilt you out of your decisions. We, anti-fraud warriors and affiliates, we are the ones that people try to set upon and try to convince us to do something other than what's in our nature. That's to move forward. That is to focus on our goal. And we aren't the ones hopping around every place. I will not, under any circumstances, acquiesce to someone who I consider to be a risk. I just will not do it. People do not like that. They want you to do what they want you to do. And they don't care what impact it could have on you. So tread carefully out there, people. Don't get sucked in to the bury yourself syndrome. Be true to your morals and your values if they have keeping you safe this far. Why change? If it's not broken, don't fix it. Absolutely, there is always more to come. Buyer beware.